The water was pouring across the marble floor when Caleb Morgan realized he had walked into a problem far bigger than a broken sink. His wealthy CEO, Rebecca Hart, stood barefoot in the doorway of her luxury apartment in Manhattan, staring at the spreading water with an expression he had never seen on her face before, not anger, not authority, but exhaustion. Caleb had come only to repair a plumbing problem after work, yet within minutes, he would discover that the thing truly broken inside that apartment had nothing to do with pipes. If you believe kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances can change someone's life, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. You never know when one small act of kindness might become the reason someone keeps going. Caleb was 32, hardworking, quiet, and used to fixing things other people threw away. He had grown up in Ohio with his grandmother, Ruth, who taught him that a person's worth was never measured by the size of their bank account. After losing his job at a construction company, Caleb accepted a position maintaining the office building owned by Hartwell Technologies. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid his bills and helped him care for his aging grandmother. Most employees barely noticed him. Rebecca Hart, the company's brilliant CEO, was different. Everyone noticed her, but nobody seemed to know her. She was respected for turning a struggling technology company into one of the fastest-growing firms in New York. She arrived early, left late, and rarely spoke about her personal life. Employees described her as disciplined and intimidating. Caleb simply noticed the small things. She always ate lunch alone. She sometimes stood beside the office window long after everyone had gone home. And whenever someone mentioned family, something in her expression seemed to disappear. One rainy Thursday evening, Rebecca's assistant called Caleb because the sink in her apartment kitchen had burst. The regular plumber couldn't arrive until the following morning, and Rebecca had an important investor meeting at 8. Caleb agreed to help. He arrived at her Upper East Side apartment carrying his battered toolbox, expecting a quick repair. The sink was worse than expected. A cracked connector had flooded the cabinet, damaging part of the wooden floor beneath it. Caleb shut off the water, removed the broken fitting, dried the cabinet, and carefully replaced the damaged section. Rebecca watched silently from across the kitchen. When he finally turned the water back on, the sink worked perfectly. She thanked him, but her voice sounded strangely fragile. Caleb packed his tools and prepared to leave when he noticed her looking toward the hallway. She hesitated for several seconds before quietly saying, "My bed is broken too." Caleb froze, unsure what she meant. Rebecca walked toward the guest room and opened the door. The bed frame had collapsed on one side. There were several boxes stacked against the wall, untouched for months. But Caleb quickly realized she wasn't talking only about furniture. Rebecca sat on the edge of the mattress and stared at the floor. She told him she had bought the apartment after her mother died, believing that success would make the loneliness easier. Instead, every achievement had made the silence louder. Her father had left when she was young, her mother had spent years struggling with illness, and Rebecca had built her entire life around becoming someone nobody could abandon again. Caleb didn't offer a grand speech. He simply repaired the bed. As he tightened the final bolt, Rebecca admitted that she had been sleeping on the couch for nearly 3 months because she couldn't bring herself to fix it. Caleb smiled gently and told her that sometimes people avoided repairing things because fixing them forced them to admit how long they had been hurting. Those words stayed with Rebecca. The next morning, Caleb expected nothing to change. Instead, Rebecca called him into her office. She told him she had reviewed his employment record and discovered that his construction skills were far beyond his current position. Rather than giving him charity, she offered him a chance, a paid position overseeing the company's new property development projects while he completed an engineering certification. Caleb accepted, but he made one condition: he wanted to earn it. Months passed. Caleb worked harder than anyone expected. Rebecca slowly learned how to trust people without controlling every outcome. She began eating lunch with her employees. She called her Aunt Miriam more often. She even repaired the relationship with her father, not because he suddenly became the perfect parent, but because Rebecca finally understood that forgiveness did not mean forgetting the past. It meant refusing to let the past own the future. Caleb's grandmother eventually met Rebecca, and during a small Sunday dinner, Ruth looked across the table at them and smiled. She told Rebecca that a home wasn't made beautiful by expensive furniture or marble floors. It became a home when someone felt safe enough to be honest inside it. Rebecca quietly wiped away a tear. A year later, the company's new community housing project opened its first building in Brooklyn. Caleb had helped design several of the maintenance systems, and Rebecca had insisted that affordable housing be part of the company's future. At the opening ceremony, she publicly thanked Caleb, not for fixing a sink or a bed, but for reminding her that broken things weren't always worthless. That evening, Caleb visited her apartment again. The sink was still working. The bed was sturdy. But the apartment felt completely different. There were photographs on the walls, flowers near the window, and the sound of laughter coming from the kitchen where Rebecca and her aunt were preparing dinner. Before Caleb left, Rebecca looked around the room and smiled. She said she had spent years believing that being strong meant never needing anyone. Now she understood that sometimes strength was simply having the courage to let good people help you rebuild. If this story touched something inside your heart, please support it with a like, share it with someone who believes people can change, and subscribe so more stories about hope and kindness can reach those who need them. And before you go, leave a comment telling us this. What is one broken thing in your life, an opportunity, a relationship, a dream, or even your confidence, that you still believe can be repaired? Because sometimes the greatest miracle isn't finding someone who can fix what is broken. Sometimes it's finding someone who reminds you that you were never broken beyond repair.